Good morning, everybody. Let's start off with a little bit of news. It's a good morning to you. And so there we go. There's my morning cup of coffee right there. Let's start off the news with a little bit of good news. How about that? A Super Bingo Sunday fundraiser was held by Operation Shoebox to support soldiers. Operation Shoebox in the Villages has for many years been supporting armed forces deployed outside the United States, sending them care packages with donated items, coffee, socks, hygiene items, letters of encouragement. This started in 2003 when Mary, Harper's children, and son-in-law got deployed, and she would send them care packages in shoe boxes. After a couple of months, she would send some other armed force members who never got anything. Now the group has extended 2 million packages and continues to send more. That's an effort. We just try to send the troops a little love from home, said Susie Dabrowski, a volunteer for Operation Shoebox. Operation Shoebox volunteers package the goods and then ship them out. Each week we send 300 to 400 packages, Dabrowski said. Shipping costs for these packages cost as much as $10,000 per month. That's why the organization has fundraisers such as Super Bingo Sunday. Admission for this event was $10, and that includes a book of 15 games. Payouts were generous, $100 per game. Jackpot was $200, and jackpot $400, and patriotic jackpot pays $300, $600, and $1,000. And there were also door prizes. Camille Giek, director of Operation Shoebox, says she hoped the event could bring in about $10,000. We have 7,500 packages we have to send out to the USS Truman, and it's going to cost us at least $20,000 for all the packages, plus what we have to put in it. But I do thank you, ladies, for your efforts. That's a lot of work. I'm sure there's a lot of people that appreciate that. Godspeed. Villages. A man with a disabled veteran license plate was jailed in a road rage incident in the Villages. Nicholas Webster Taylor, 37, who lives at the Lake Sumter apartment homes on County Road 466, was arrested Friday night on charges of battery following an alleged attack on a 70-year-old man driving a gray transit van in the vicinity of Morris Boulevard and San Marino Drive, according to the arrest report. The man driving the van and the witness said Taylor had reached into the van and grabbed the 70-year-old man by the neck. They said the man had been traveling in a blue four-door Ford Focus with a disabled license plate. A deputy caught up with Taylor's vehicle near the Morris Gate and County Road 466 and Morris Boulevard. The squad car lights and siren were activated, but Taylor ignored the attempted traffic stop and drove down County Road 466 toward Lake Sumter Apartments homes. He stopped at the apartment complex but refused to exit the locked vehicle. Deputies eventually removed him from the vehicle and they forced him to the ground, but he resisted the efforts to take him into custody. Taylor was also charged with resisting arrest and failure to notify the Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles of an address change. He was booked at Sumter County Detention Center and released after posting a $36,500 bond. A Village of Valle Verde resident suspected in multiple area burglaries was arrested after he was tracked by local law enforcement. Valle Verde, if I can remember right, that's one of the older family parks that was started many years ago for workers. Remember I tried to tell you about how that usually works out 20 years from now, but I know most people don't care because they figure 20 years from now they're going to be dead anyway. This is what happens because it is a family park. Young people are allowed to live there full time. This is just one report of why I'm really not a fan of it. I know it puts a black eye on all the good ones. I know that, but I'm talking 15 years down the road. You and I, nobody knows who's going to go in there 15, 20 years from now. You don't know. I don't know. But I do know this happens, and this is not the first time this has happened. Tyler Fayacasola, 23, of 156 Palermo Place, was arrested early Saturday morning along with 18-year-old Terrence Freeman Jr. of Leesburg on charges of burglary and prowling. The pair had been suspected of burglaries in Marion County. Marion County Sheriff's Office had placed a tracker on their red 2004 Chrysler Sebring. Marion County deputies were working along with Lake County Sheriff's Office when the vehicle was tracked to the Claremont area where Fayette Consolo and Freeman attempted to burglarize vehicles. Ray Consolo, a native of New York, I'm sorry, New York. I read these, and I apologized a long time ago saying, everybody I ever met from New York have been great people. They've treated me and Sue great, but I read these things, and I can kind of see where people's getting this idea, why New York people kind of get a bad rep around here. Oh, gosh. Francisco, native of New York, was the driver of the vehicle. According to the report, he was taken into custody and booked on $21,000 bond at Lake County Jail. Freeman's bond was also set at $21,000. A villager in a golf cart was arrested on a drunk driving charge after drinking beer at Sonny's Barbecue at Lake Sumter Landing. Roger Edmund God, we'll just call him Roger. Roger, 72, who lives at 811 Orchid Street on the historic side of the Villages, was driving a red Yamaha golf cart when he was called Friday evening to La Grande Boulevard and La Plaza Parkway, according to the arrest report. Gagne had been called to the scene to pick up an acquaintance involved in an unrelated accident. When the Rhode Island native, I'm glad he wasn't from New York. When the Rhode Island native arrived on the scene, officers noticed he appeared to be under the influence and struggled to formulate sentences and appeared to have slurred and slowed speech, according to the arrest report. He had to use the golf cart to balance himself. He attempted to take part in field sobriety exercises, but the exercise had to be halted because Ganji was too intoxicated to stand and refused to follow directions, according to the arrest report. Rodney said he had been at Sonny's earlier in the day where he had consumed 6 bottles of Miller Lite. Well, at least it wasn't 2. That's a joke, right? He provided breath samples that both registered .196 blood alcohol content. He was arrested on charges of driving under the influence. He was booked at Lake County Jail and released after posting a $1,000 bond. A villager who apparently was served the wrong type of chicken landed in jail after allegedly attacking an employee at a senior living facility. Are you kidding me? Are you that petty? Sumter County Sheriff's deputies were called at about 5:30 p.m. Monday to Sumter Senior Living on County Road 466A after 79-year-old Karen Elaine Linder attacked the server in an employees-only section of the dining hall at the facility, according to the arrest report. Lindler, who previously lived in the village of Pennycamp before selling her home in the Azalea Villas in 2017, got into a disagreement about the type of chicken which she was served and that it was of the wrong type. Linder, who stands 5 feet 3 inches tall and weighs 120 pounds, was apparently so irate she followed a staffer to the kitchen area and pushed her with both of her hands. There were several witnesses who verified the employee's version of the events. The deputies arrived at Sumter Senior Living, formerly Sumter Grand. The Michigan native was put in the hand restraints and put into the back of a patrol car. She was transported to the Sumter County Detention Center, where she was booked and charged with battery. She was later released on her own recognizance. You know, maybe I ought to take back my statement. I'm not going to say anything really. Senior living over there, she could have dementia and things. And with my father having dementia and Alzheimer's, I know it can affect you personality-wise. Or maybe this lady is the nicest lady on 2 legs, and with her Alzheimer's, she had an episode, I'll call it. So I'm going to let that go. Commissioners approved comprehensive plan amendments and zoning for both projects. What projects? Well, I got to start up here. 2 projects along County Road 466 near Walmart at Buffalo Ridge Plaza were given final approval Monday by the Wildwood City Commission. Bellwether Multifamily and Workforce Housing. They always call it workforce housing, man. That gets it through. But I'm telling you, 25 years from now, 20 years from now, 10 years from now, there's a time limit to where it starts to change. 2 projects along County Road 466 near Buffalo Ridge Plaza were given final approval. Bellwether Multifamily and Workforce Housing Development will be built on 43 acres north of County Road 466 along Bellwether Lane. Whispering Suites and Extended Stay Hotel will be built on nearly 3 acres along County Road 106 near the Murphy gas station, less than 100 yards south of County Road 466. Commissioners approved comprehensive plan amendments for zoning for both projects. Completion of the 368-unit Bellwether multifamily is expected by 2025. The project is expected to add 105 students to Sumter County schools and generate 170 to 182 peak hour trips, according to the traffic study. Well, I guess that means eventually in the future, our property taxes are going to go up again because of the schools going to have to enlarge, have to hire more teachers. You can see what's happening here, right? No wetlands are located on a property, but a gopher tortoise study will be required 3 months before construction begins. A traffic study found that the project will add 935 daily trips to the area. Roadway improvements may be needed for County Road 106, which will provide the main access. Owned by Choice Hotels, Wood Spring Suites operates more than 300 extended stay economy hotels. Some feature in-room kitchens, laundry room access, and fitness centers. Pets are allowed at some locations. Discounts are offered averaging 34% for weekly stays and 44% for monthly stays. Choice Hotels, which acquired Wood Spring Suites in 2018, is one of the world's largest hotel groups with more than 7,000 properties and 14 brands. Do you remember here a while back where a guy punched another guy about etiquette on the golf course when he asked the guy to move away from the hole, and the guy said, "I know what the etiquette is," and he flipped him off. The guy said, "Do that again, I'm going to hit you," and the guy flipped him off, and so he hit him. The news about that, the updated news about that is villager won't be prosecuted in golf etiquette altercation that made national headlines. It did. Fox got a hold of it. I'm sorry. A drunk driving suspect was arrested after a crash in the parking lot at the Waterfront Inn at Lake Sumter Landing. Those of you who don't know about the Waterfront Inn Hotel at Lake Sumter Landing, it's just in a gorgeous location. It's a little pricey. They all are nowadays. But if you want to come down and just stop by for a day or two and just kind of check out maybe the little area about the villages and see kind of like what it's like. I used to do that at Spanish Springs because at the time, Spanish Springs was the only square there was. These other places were still on the drawing board. And we stayed at that time, there was a hotel within walking distance of Spanish Springs. We stayed there and we would walk down to Spanish Springs and have dinner and hang around the square and talk to a few people and things like that. And that's how we got interested in it. And Lake Sumter, though, if I was to recommend somebody that wanted to stay at a hotel for a day or two, and I don't know that anybody's really asked me, but if you did ask me, here's what I would tell you. Go to the Waterfront Inn if you can get a room. It's just a gorgeous hotel. I'm not saying it's fancy or nothing like that. I'm not. I'm just saying with the location of it to everything in Lake Sumter, and Lake Sumter, in my opinion, is probably one of the most picturesque town squares that we have. And you literally can walk from the hotel there to within a 5-minute walk, if that, to downtown Lake Sumter where the squares are, where the bands are, where restaurants are, shopping, and just kind of walk around. And you don't need a golf cart, but if you wanted to, you could walk downtown, go to the village's golf cart store, and rent a golf cart for the day, and then take it for a spin around town and look at some things and kind of get an idea how things are. I mean, that's why I recommend that hotel. It's just so convenient for everything there. A woman had backed out of a parking spot at about 10 p.m. Tuesday and was preparing to leave the parking lot when her vehicle was struck in the side by a white 2019 Ford Explorer driven by 72-year-old Edward Charles Tomlinson of Oxford Oaks, according to an arrest report from the Sumter County Sheriff's Office. The woman detected a strong odor of alcohol coming from Tomlinson's breath and suspected he may have been drinking. Pardon me. You don't ever see a newsman on NBC ever stop the news and take a drink of his coffee. When deputies arrived on the scene, they found that Amsterdam, New York. God. He had glassy and bloodshot eyes and was having difficulty maintaining his balance. He said he was not sure what had happened. Tomlinson struggled through field sobriety exercises. He initially refused to provide breath samples, and when he indicated he would provide the sample, he did not comply with the instructions, and an adequate sample was not collected. He was arrested and charged on driving under the influence and was booked at Sumter County Detention Center on $1,000 bond. Here we got some more illegal immigrants being smuggled in here. They got caught. A human smuggler who was being paid $1,000 for transporting an illegal alien into Florida was nabbed in Sumter County. Jose Guadalupe Juarez, 69, of Pasadena, Texas, was driving a silver Ford Explorer at 11:15 a.m. Wednesday southbound on I-75 when he was pulled over for having a temporary tag which had expired on May 5th, according to the arrest report. During the traffic stop, a trooper noticed that Juarez's passenger seemed overly nervous. The passenger was identified by his Mexican identification and passport, but the trooper noticed that the passport did not contain any stamps indicating cross-border travel. A U.S. Border Patrol agent confirmed that the passenger was in the United States illegally and had been previously deported. According to the arrest report, he had $800 in crisp, new $100 bills separate from his wallet, along with a phone, charger, and phone in his pocket. Juarez said he had been paid $1,000 to transport the man to Florida for work. Juarez was taken into custody on a charge of human smuggling. You know, we've talked about Morris Boulevard up there being dangerous for golf carts. They have accidents there. I won't say a lot, but they have them on a fairly regular basis. Every year there's accidents. Some's occurred in death. And I've always said that there's property up there next to Morris Boulevard, lots of property where they could go over there, the Sumter County could, and they could put the golf cart path off of that road right there to separate the vehicles. How much would that cost? I don't know. But see, since the developers turned this over to the county up there, and I think it's Sumter County there. It's kind of on the line, really, Sumter and maybe Lake County. But anyway, if it's Sumter County up there, then Sumter County's got to foot the bill. And they're going to say, well, we don't have the money, blah, blah, blah. Well, you just raised our property taxes 25% a couple of years ago. You're telling me they ain't got the extra money to go up there and save a life? Are you saying that money is more important than saving a life here? I mean, Morris Boulevard was shut down Thursday afternoon for an investigation into a serious golf cart accident. The crash occurred about 4 p.m. at Morris Boulevard and Palo Alto Avenue. A witness at the scene told thevillagesnews.com that a woman had been traveling alone in a golf cart when she drove into the path of a van. The woman was seriously injured and transported from the scene by ambulance. The Florida Highway Patrol has been called to investigate the crash. A group of villagers living north of County Road 466 has been pressuring Sumter County, I guess it is Sumter County, Commission and the Community Development District 1 Board of Supervisors. District 1, the Community Board of Supervisors, to take a hard look at this issue. Good luck on that. They have argued that the intermingling of golf carts and vehicles is dangerous and potentially deadly. I've always said that. It's the same anywhere, not just there. But this particular area, it's almost like the cut-through shortcut for a lot of locals that work around the villages, like at the hospital, the courthouse, things like that, Walmart, shopping centers, and they use this road a lot to go to and from work. I don't know how to describe it. You'd have to be on your golf cart to drive up there to know what anybody's talking about. It's I don't like going up there. It's a bad situation. This is a long story where somebody living in Bridgeport neighborhoods up there, which is generally pretty high-priced neighborhoods, the Bridgeport, village of Bridgeport at Lake Sumter. And this guy is a naval officer that was stationed overseas, and somewhere along the line, he got into a bribery thing with a Singapore contractor or whatever, and they caught him at it, and now he's facing $250,000 in fines and possible 20 years in prison. This story's been going on for a while. I keep waiting to get to the end of it because I don't want to keep you guys in suspense reading this week after week after week after week. I just don't want to do that, but it looks like this is the latest one. I already passed 3 of them. Let's see what it says here. A villager who served as a local GOP leader has been convicted in the federal Navy bribery case. Retired U.S. Navy Captain David Luzman was found guilty Wednesday, along with former U.S. Navy captains from the 7th Fleet, of accepting bribes from Singapore-based foreign defense contractor Leonard Francis and his company, Glenn Defense Marine Asia, GDMA. Luzman is a resident of the village of Bridgeport at Lake Sumter and previously served as president of the village's Republican Club. The 67-year-old was convicted of charges including bribery and obstruction of justice. He faces up to 20 years in prison and a $250,000 fine. U.S. District Judge Janice L. Sammartino set a status hearing for July 21 for Losman and the other defense. A sentencing hearing is scheduled for October 11. Losman, who was known as Too Tall, served as executive officer of the aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln, commanding officer of USS Blue Ridge, and commanding officer of the USS George Washington. This is a fleecing and betrayal of the United States Navy in epic proportions and was allegedly carried out by the Navy's highest-ranking officers, said Acting U.S. Attorney Alana W. Robinson in 2017 at the time of Losman's indictment with fellow defendants. The alleged conduct amounts to a staggering degree of corruption by the most prominent leaders of the 7th Fleet, the largest fleet in the U.S. Navy, actively worked together as a team to trade secrets for sex, serving the interests of a greedy foreign defense contractor and not those of their own country. Losman reportedly worked in concert to help Francis and GDMA win and keep defense contracts to provide port services to U.S. Navy ships, to redirect ships to ports controlled by Francis in Southeast Asia so he could overbill the Navy for supplies and services such as food, water, fuel, tugboats, and sewage removal, to sabotage competing defense contractors, to recruit new members for the conspiracy by spreading the Glenn gospel to incoming 7th Fleet leaders, and to keep the conspiracy secret by using fake names and foreign email services providers. A man fled through a window to the rooftop of a hotel in the Villages after allegedly pointing a gun at a woman. Law enforcement responded at about 5 p.m. Monday to the Comfort Inn and Suites on Avienda Central, where 23-year-old Amaro Lee Von Johnson of Ozark, Alabama, pointed a Taurus G2C 9mm semi-automatic gun at a woman in a guest room, according to the arrest report. Jackson had struck the woman several times and choked her. The altercation was witnessed by an out-of-state party over a video call. When police attempted to enter the room, Jackson jumped out the window onto a section of the roof. He would not comply with officers' commands to come down off the roof, so Lake County Fire Rescue was called to the scene with a ladder truck. Sergeant Charles Gursitz, a military veteran who once served in the Secret Service, used a ladder to access the roof to take Johnson into custody. Jackson initially attempted to give officers a false name. When he was taken into custody, his true identity was learned after officers found his Alabama identification card. Well, I can only say that officer that climbed up that ladder and on that roof, not knowing what he's going to be facing up there, that's balls. To the editor, sorry, but the ornament called by the judge is a dodge. Religious freedom should trump any ornament issue. We know that putting up a cross is not an ornament in the mind of the individuals who wish to display this. What about the Star of David or any other religion? People should be able to show their religious affiliations. That's sent in by Larry Lance from the Village of Pennycamp. A 90-year-old villager is scheduled to face trial this fall in a hit-and-run case which injured a husband and wife and bicyclist. If you remember right, this happened to, gosh, I think I reported this last year. She was driving a Mercedes. There was two people riding their bicycle, I believe, out here on Hillsborough Trail. She run into both of them. She actually got out of the car, walked back, saw them laying on the sidewalk, got back in the car and went home. And they went to her house and arrested her. She went to court. I think she pleaded not guilty, actually. I think. Let's see here. Marilyn Hamilton of the Village of Fernandino is scheduled to go to trial on October the 10th, about 2 weeks prior to her 91st birthday, and nearly 2 years after injuring the cyclist in a case that shocked the village's bicycling community. Hamilton has pleaded not guilty to felony counts of hit and run. She is charged with hitting Village of Dunedin residents Jessica Lobb and Robert Hunter, who had been riding on Morris Boulevard on October 30th, 2020. Morris Boulevard. They were both struck by a white Mercedes driven by Hamilton. She allegedly stopped, looked at the crumpled bicycles on the ground, got back in the car, and fled the scene. She had her damaged 2014 Mercedes towed to a dealership in Gainesville, leading to her arrest on November 5th, 2020 at her home on Twisted Oak Way. Lobb, an experienced cyclist who is a member of the Sumter Landing Bike Club, was airlifted to Ocala Regional Medical Center, where she remained in intensive care for 30 days. She suffered 17 broken ribs, God, a collapsed lung, paralyzed vocal cord, broken arm, broken wrist, torn finger tendons and ligaments, and brain injuries. Hunter was also injured, but his wife, who was following him, suffered the greatest impact from the Mercedes and drove off and left him. A man who raided the checkbook of his 83-year-old father in the Villages has been released from jail after serving a sentence on forgery charges. Scott Michael Gambrazio, 52, was released last month from the Lake County Jail after serving a 120-day sentence. He had been lodged there since his February 24 arrest. His father went to Lady Lake Police Department after discovering that his son has taken 9 checks from his checkbook, which had been kept in the bedroom of his home on Jason Drive in the village of Silver Lake. Gambrazio wrote 9 checks to himself from his father's account, totaling $2,270. According to the arrest report, the father told the police his son did not have access to his bank account unless he was to pass away. Gambrazio was sitting on the front porch of his home when the officers arrived to interview him. He admitted he had taken the checks and cashed them without his permission. He confessed that he knew it was wrong. He made the checks out to himself and signed his father's name. In 2018, Gambrazio was arrested after leaving UF Health at the hospital in the Villages and apparently intoxicated state while at the wheel of a golf cart. Last year, he was arrested after violating his probation. The Florida Highway Patrol is investigating another serious crash on Morse Boulevard. The crash occurred at about 1:30 p.m. Saturday on Morse Boulevard near Rio Grande Avenue. A witness said a vehicle took out a street light, hitting the post on the passenger side, according to the witness. It was the second serious accident on the busy thoroughway, which has long been a concern of residents living north of County Road 466. A 70-year-old Village of Mira Mesa woman driving a Yamaha golf cart was seriously injured Thursday when she turned into the path of a van on Morse Boulevard. Yes, you can't turn left from the golf cart lane in front of traffic. I don't care where you're driving in the Villages. Don't do that. First of all, I'm not sure there's a law against it, but you just can't turn left in front of traffic like that. I mean, really. Just like you can't turn right if you're in a car in front of a golf cart to make a right-hand turn. You're at fault for doing that. I believe I read an update about this accident right here, and the person driving the car is like 88 years old, and I don't know what's going on with it, but I believe the court has said in order to have his driver's license back, he has to be retested. The owner of Cody's Original Restaurant in the Villages is opening a new restaurant at a neighboring retirement community. Alan and Amy, owners of the Cody's location at Lake Sumter Landing and Brownwood Paddock Square, are opening another Cody's near On Top of the World in Ocala. The restaurant will be located just west of 80th Avenue on the north side of Southwest Highway 200 College Road. I don't know exactly on Top of the World exactly how things are up there now, because when I was up there the first time I looked at the place, they were really just starting to build the place really into itself. So I don't know all the up-to-dates. It's been years since I've been up there, and I don't keep up with all this stuff. But the biggest problem I see with On Top of the World is what I do like here is just like when Sue had that little accident, we didn't have a car for almost a month. We still did our thing. We had our golf cart. We could go anywhere we wanted to go and do what we wanted to do inside the Villages, which is a lot. I don't think On Top of the World has that. If I understand where this place is at, I'm not sure that you'll be able to drive a golf cart there. You'll have to get in your car and go there. That may not mean anything to anybody. It just means something to me. A 78-year-old villager recently convicted of child pornography case will explain to the judge later this month why he needs internet access. I think I already done a video on this. I explained my position why he don't need internet, nothing. John Thomas Nolan, who lives at 1364 Bokelia Place in the Bokelia Villas, is set to appear July 22 in front of Judge Mary Hatcher in Sumter County Court. His attorney, Gail Grossman, will be arguing in favor of a motion to grant internet access for her client. Earlier this year, in Sumter County Court, Nolan pleaded no contest to 3 counts of possession of child pornography. He was sentenced to 5 years probation. His 2020 arrest was the result of a 2-month investigation launched after a cyber tip was received by the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. The Queens, New York The Queens, New York native was arrested at his villa. Well, there's the exact reason why I say he don't need internet at all. He was on the internet when they caught him. And apparently, lovelorn Iowa woman is poised to escape prosecution in connection with an intoxicated outburst in the Villages. Ida Renee Payson, 55, of Amos, Iowa, was allowed June 23 to enter into a pretrial intervention contract in Sumter County Court. She must seek a substance abuse evaluation. She was also ordered to 15 hours of community service, though she can buy out at a rate of $10 per hour. If she completes the terms of the contract, the criminal case will be dropped. She had been arrested on the night of March 3rd after Sumter County Sheriff's deputies were called to her home in the 1600 block of Durham Drive in the village of Alhambra. Payson said she walked to this house because she is in love with the man that lives there. The deputy wrote in his arrest report, Payson said the man would not answer her calls, so she wanted him to answer a question. She was yelling and crying. The homeowner confirmed that Payson had been causing a disturbance at his residence. A neighbor who lives 3 doors down said she had been watching television and heard Payson yelling. A villager son who in 2019 stole a woman's golf clubs from a golf cart parked at Mallory Hill Country Club has landed back behind bars. Andrew Lawrence Simpson, 47, was booked last week at the Lake County Jail on a charge of violating his Sumter County probation. He was being held without bond and won't be seen in court until July 15. Simpson, who was living with his mother in the village of Mallory Square, snatched the woman's golf bag clubs and other items were valued at $4,314. The bag contained a tailor-made M6 driver valued at $500, 2 Cobra hybrids valued at $200 each, 1 tailor-made M6 Street wood valued at $400, 4 tailor-made M2 irons valued at $200, and tailor-made high-toe 60-degree wedge valued at $200. A Bushnell brand rangefinder with a blue gel case valued at $300. 50 golf balls, a Columbia brand rain jacket, and matching pants. A Bionic brand left-handed golf club. The same day the clubs were pawned for $333 at Play It Again Sports in Leesburg. A deputy obtained a receipt for the pawned items and found that Simpson had provided his driver's license when he bought the clubs. You moron. Simpson was arrested at his mother's home on charges of grand theft. Those of you that don't play golf, yeah, that sounds about right when you buy them brand new. Clubs are expensive. I know when I came down as a retirement gift to me. This is about right. My golf clubs, and that don't include usually the custom bag that you want to get with your name embroidered on it and all that kind of stuff, or the shoes. And I mean, it can be expensive. But let me also tell you the other side of that coin. Once you use them clubs about one time, and then you try to sell them at the next garage sale, they're worth nothing. You talk about depreciations of a new car. There's nothing that depreciates as much as new golf clubs. Today they're worth $5,000. I use them for 6 months. I said, I don't like them. I'm going to sell them. I'm lucky to get $125 out of the whole damn thing. They're worth nothing. So if you're a beginner golfer, here's my suggestion. Don't worry about all the stuff people's going to tell you about. Go buy this, go buy that. Go buy the cheapest sets you can buy if you're going to buy new. Otherwise, get the newspaper out and look for a garage sale and go buy those. You can get them for $50, bag and all, and then once you learn the game, then work your way up from there. Oh, here, he was also placed on probation for 3 years for that. And in 2015, Simpson was arrested after impersonating a dentist and phoning in a fraudulent prescription at Publix for hydrocodone in his mother's name. He was sentenced to probation in that case, too. Probation, probation, probation. And as you can see, it means nothing. More than 200 villagers have signed a petition calling for action on noise from the Florida Turnpike. The petition will be discussed by the Community Development District 12 Board of Supervisors at the meeting set for 9:30 a.m. Thursday at Everglades Recreation Center. One of the leaders of the petition effort is Harold Meyer of the village of Monarch Grove, who has previously complained about the unbearable noise coming from the turnpike. We are soliciting your support into exploring options to improve our quality of life now and in the future in our District 12 by addressing this issue, as it will only grow in magnitude as the road widens, the petition states. They say the continuous turnpike road noise is having a negative impact on our community with respect to quality of life and property values. In the past, the mayor has suggested villages could build a sound barrier or increase landscaping to shield residents from the turnpike noise. Or when you was walking around out there looking at these homes to buy and you saw that turnpike out there, you could have said, I'm not interested in this. There's just too much noise. I'm going to buy somewhere else. That's what you could have done. I don't see this argument going very far. But an 80-year-old villager will have to be retested. Oh, this is the update to that accident I told you. I thought I read this somewhere. An 80-year-old villager will have to be retested for his driver's license after a crash on Morse Boulevard. The Village of Delmar man had been driving a white 2017 Buick Envision 4-door at 12:50 p.m. Saturday, heading north on Morse Boulevard north of Rio Grande Avenue when he lost control of his vehicle and hit a light pole. The driver had suffered a medical episode. He was transported by ambulance to Ocala Regional Medical Center. The vehicle's airbag deployed in the crash. The driver was not cited due to his medical episode, but we are requesting a driver evaluation due to the medical episode that resulted in the crash, the trooper wrote in a report. Anytime that there's a serious accident where trauma is involved, you will always go to Ocala. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but what I am saying is we have no trauma center units here in the villages at all yet. I hope they get some someday so we don't have to keep going to Ocala. But as of right now, if you have any kind of a trauma injury, such as the lady that got hit on the bicycles, this guy in this accident, you will always go to Ocala. A caregiver convicted of ripping off a blind 86-year-old villager has landed back behind bars. Sharon W. DeMarsh, 42, of Bellevue, was booked without bond Saturday at the Lake County Jail on a charge of violating her probation. DeMarsh was convicted in 2017 in a case in which the elderly villager's family member noticed that the 86-year-old woman's grocery bill had increased by $500 per month after DeMarsh had been assigned as the woman's non-medical caregiver. It was also discovered that DeMarsh had been driving the woman's 2014 red Buick. DeMarsh claimed she had used the car to run the woman's errands, but an investigation revealed DeMarsh had allowed her 17-year-old son to drive the car, unbeknownst to the owner. It also was revealed that DeMarsh fled to North Carolina in the Buick during Hurricane Matthew without the elderly woman's permission. DeMarsh was later arrested on an additional charge of impersonating a registered nurse. She had been ordered to make restitution of $12,702 to her former client, who was in court on the day DeMarsh was sentenced. DeMarsh was also placed on probation. I'll tell you, some people, they just have no conscience whatsoever. A villager's son with history of victimizing neighbors was arrested over the holiday weekend. Christopher Mundy, 50, was booked Friday without bond at the Lake County Jail after violating his probation. Mundy, who previously lived in the village of St. Charles, had numerous arrests while living in the villages with his mother. She has since died. He was arrested in the theft and subsequent sale of an $11,000 custom-made ring and in the theft of checks from a neighbor's lady for whom he had done some work. Those cases prompted the Sumter County Sheriff's Office to suspect there could be more victims, and a call was put out to villagers who had engaged Mundy's painting, house sitting, and pet watching services. Here's what they found. A vacationing villager who hired Mundy to watch her home and her cats returned to find a prescription bottle containing methamphetamine in her refrigerator. A village's couple who used Mundy as a house sitter returned from their vacation to discover that Mundy had used their Wi-Fi connection and credit cards to transact $400 in Western Union money orders. Another village's couple who had Mundy house sit for them while they were away on vacation returned to find traffic counters in their garage. Traffic counters. The couple took steps to turn them back to the proper authorities. The traffic counters are valued at $2,310. The theft of 3 Motorola two-way radios has also been traced to Mundy. The radios were valued at $1,611 each. And this guy could be your neighbor. Okay, I think that's it. That's all we're going to do. I'm going to get out of here. So with that being said, I'm going to get out of here and say, don't leave your keys in the golf cart.